Well, I mean, the studio business is kind of threatened, wouldn't you say, with the advent of Pro Tools in everybody's basement or bedroom? How do you deal with that?
What we have to offer is what you can't do in your bedroom. It would be really hard for you to fit, you know, a 60-piece choir and a 35-piece orchestra in your bedroom. Also, you could never get the same drum sound as I could get, probably for two reasons. Number one, the kind of what I would call prosumer equipment is not the same as my equipment. The plugins that you use are not the same as the hardware that I have that it emulates. So there are things that we do have to offer that you could set up a really good studio in your home if you have a lot of money. But, you know, all the claims that are made in the magazines about, you know, you can do the same as, you know, this studio, you can't. You can't.
So you feel positive about the future of the recording studio business?
Yeah, I think it's much smaller. You know, when I started, which was in 1969, when I first started to actually record stuff and had my first studio, there were only a handful of independent studios, and the rest were the recording company studios, the company studios. So you had, you know, CBS and RCA. You had, those companies had their own studios. Their artists recorded in those studios. In the middle to late 60s, that started to change. The music changed. The business started to change. There were all these young musicians, and they wanted to work with younger people. They didn't want to work with the guy who was doing Frank Sinatra. And so a few of us started to build these studios, and you know, we built a major studio and spent, you know, a lot of money. I had a brilliant partner who built consoles, and boy, we were packed. We were packed with young people who just didn't want to work in a studio owned by their record company.
Right. Well, now, you were in this city for 5 years with Potty Street. Where were you before that?
I lived in L.A.
So you were one of those L.A. engineers that did all the rock and roll records.
We did, yeah, I owned a studio, and almost I mean, it's hard to believe, but really almost everything we recorded was a hit. I mean, because it was a time Motown was moving out of Detroit, and they opened a studio, a small studio in L.A., but yet we did all the Jackson 5 and all the Miracles and all of those records every day. And we did the Carole Kings and the Jackson Browns and the James Taylors and the REO Speedwagons. We just, you know, we were real lucky. And obviously Stevie Wonder, we did, you know, that for years. We had a great studio. Again, a great room. That's a really big selling point, is a really great room to record in, where maybe you have leakage, but you could actually do a live record in there, and the leakage sounds good.